how much was earned from her Instagram post. Probably not very much. But now we can say, oh, no, no, no. It was $150,000 for that Instagram post. As of the recording of this, Kat Von D is still in trial. I'm curious to see what happens here because we've had these tattoo copyright infringement cases that go to trial, but they are litigated way less than, let's say, music infringement, video infringement, that kind of thing. So the drama was, in regards to the iconic Miles Davis portrait, which essentially what she did is she adapted it. Okay, so there's a portrait, and there's a photographer, and it's Jeffrey, hopefully I don't say this wrong, Sedlick, and he is alleging that Kat Von D, in basically having this picture and then adapting it into a tattoo, violated his exclusive copyright in the image. And we see this come up before. So for example, NBA, there was a game, and the players in the game had the tattoos of the actual players that they were representing, and the tattoo artist, or at least one tattoo artist, was claiming, well, that's my creative work. Right. I made that tattoo and you used it in your video game without getting my permission. It's copyright infringement. You owe me lots of money. We don't see these cases come up too much. Right out the gate, that's basically what's being claimed. And what we're going to do is actually go through the complaints because they've gone, we were looking at the docket for this case. And it was like for 2 years that this case has been going on.
It's been going on for a little bit, yeah.
So we figured, why don't we go through the actual complaints so you can actually see what this looks like? All right. And then also see what they're claiming, see some pictures, and then we'll fast forward to where we are today. All right, here we go. So this is the original lawsuit, aka the actual complaint. And so just
zoom in there.
All right, yeah, let's give you is that better?
Yeah,
there we go.
Yeah.
So guys, when you see this at the very top, it goes United States District Court for the Central District of California. We are in federal court. Okay, and we're in federal court because it's a federal question, which is copyright infringement being brought by, of course, Jeffrey Sedlick, the photographer, against Catherine Von, how do you say his last name? Kat Von D, all right, as well as High Voltage Tattoo, which is the tattoo
I've never thought
shop.
about her real name. I've never thought about her real full name before.
It sounds fancy. Droshenberg?
Yeah, that sounds
maybe.
good.
Yeah, that sounds good.
That sounds good.
All right, and of the claims, we have copyright infringement under 17 USC 501. Okay, so just infringement of, stole the thing. Vicarious copyright infringement, meaning the tattoo shop they're asking be held liable because Kat Von D is or was an employee hired by the tattoo shop, and then also copyright infringement in general, and then removal of copyright management information. And this, so right now, through my law firm, I have a copyright infringement lawsuit, and one of the claims has to do with copyright management information. Guys, this is really important. If you put the little copyright symbol, let's say on your album cover or your book, and someone takes it, not only have they potentially, if they used anything from your copyrighted work, not only have they infringed your copyright, but if they remove the actual symbol itself, that's a different claim. That means different monies, all of which we're going to talk about. We're excited because we're learning all the ways that we can get paid for copyright infringement. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, so let's get into it. We have jurisdiction and venue. So they go, this is, a case arises out of copyright violation. So the Copyright Act, so that's why jurisdiction and venue is proper. So courts, and sometimes this is what we fight about. Are we allowed to be in this court? The answer is yes, according to the complaint. The parties are, we just read, it's Jeffrey Sedlick, the photographer. He is alleging against Kat Von D. He is alleging against the tattoo shop, which is defined in here as KVD Incorporated. And then, guys, we do something like this where it's like John Doe's 1 through 10. We have a place saver in case there are other parties who end up coming up later. So hereafter, it's just defendants. All right. When we refer to everyone that we're suing, it's just defendants. All right. So let's fast forward just a little bit and get into a little of the factual background here. So Sedlick is a world-renowned, award-winning photographer and professor. He's a 10-time recipient of the Communication Arts Award of Excellence and many other awards. So, we like to give credibility of he's not an ambulance chaser, which I think is kind of sometimes what that goes to, right?
Yeah, so just establishing credibility of the person. We saw, you see this in a lot when that's how they always start. They always start like with the Hall and Oates, complaint that we were seeing. They were building up, Daryl Hall is this, this kind of guy and all of his achievement. That's how they start him off.
A Music Attorney is your #1 legal resource for artists, producers, and record labels. Get contract templates, one-on-one legal advice, free master classes, and everything you need for your music business. Go to topmusicattorney.com. All right, and so going on, he's also a professor. He's part of the faculty at the Art Center College of Design, teaching creative courses, business topics. He's the president and CEO of Plus Coalition. He conducts workshops, seminars, so he's doing a lot of things. He's consulted with the Copyright Office. All right, so this is all good stuff. We care about his background, but I kind of want to get to it. So he is the sole and exclusive owner of the copyright in the iconic Miles Davis portrait. The iconic Miles Davis portrait, this one right here, was created in or around 1989 and first published in a cover story in Jazzy's magazine in or around August of 1989. A reproduction of the iconic Miles Davis portrait is below. All right, so this is the one we're all concerned about. The iconic portrait is a world-famous portrait of Mr. Davis that has appeared in magazines all around the world. It's been featured. And guys, the reason why that's important, it's been featured in magazines and all this stuff has happened, is that it has value to it beyond just I made it and this is a great picture. Because later on when we're trying to claim damages, we go, hey, no, I've actually received a lot of money for this. It's been used in all kinds of ways. So that's why we kind of mention that stuff. He's offered and sold non-exclusive copyright licenses for reproduction of the portrait for commercial and non-commercial purposes. He's the exclusive owner. All right, he got his certificate. So we're just building all the factual background. Now, defendant Kat Von D is a world-renowned tattoo artist, reality TV star, recording artist. She's doing all the things. And she owns and operates a tattoo parlor, an art gallery, a cosmetic company, a clothing company, and a shoe company. She sure does. Kat Von D is active on social media. She has a whole lot of followers. They say 7.4 million on just Instagram, 12 million on Facebook.
Yeah, she's huge.
1.8 million on Twitter. And the date of this complaint. Now, again, this matters because they're going to claim, I'm sure she posted what she was doing everywhere. It was seen everywhere. And therefore, the devaluation of the image of what happened because she posted it without authorization. Again, likely what they're going to say is how I pleaded. So we'll see. All right. And then also the defendants. So this is the tattoo parlor, KVD Incorporated. They're in California. It's 100% owned by Kat Von D. So, all the things that happened had to do with and was within the actual tattoo shop as well. All right. So now we get into the actual background facts, which is Kat Von D. Neither requested nor received a license to reproduce, display, distribute, or make derivative works of or otherwise to use the iconic portrait for any purpose. The tattoo shop neither requested nor received a license to do any of those things either. So they haven't gotten the permission. They did it anyway, and court, fine for me, essentially. And then going back to, it looks like March of 2017, okay, Kat Von D, while she was working as an employee of the tattoo shop, unlawfully reproduced the iconic Miles Davis portrait. And then I think we get into some more pictures coming up in just a sec. So in addition, they also made further unauthorized reproductions and derivatives of this portrait. And so we'll see why they're saying this. They're like, she didn't just make the tattoo, but she reproduced it in additional ways. And this is how. So specifically, on March 18th, 2017, all the defendants published the following image to her Instagram. And we just went through,
Right.
what was it again for Instagram? How many followers?
Yeah,
a whole lot.
Millions.
All right, so she posted it. So obviously you can see the actual picture here, which was being used as a reference. And so that's what they're saying. There's been a reproduction of the actual portrait and setting aside what was, what we're seeing here. Now, when you're kind of looking at this, does this look like an exact replication of this?
No.
What does this look like to you?
I mean,
it's certainly inspired at best, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's definitely trying to do it, but I mean, there's a lot of differences to it. Like the eyes look different. Even the fingers are a little bit different. But I mean, but it's nonetheless like she obviously has it right there, and that's what she's doing.
So the above image, which was the Instagram post, depicts Kat Von D, the means of reproducing the portrait. Okay.
And I'm
And
sure she
then
has it also like hanging up in her shop is like, somewhere. It's like, "Oh, look at this cool thing I did." She's so proud of it or something too.
sure. And then she captioned the post, quote, "Can't believe this is the first time I've gotten to tattoo a portrait of hashtag Miles Davis. Thank you, Blake, for letting me tattoo you."
Mm,
The caption also tags defendant High Voltage Tattoo with its Instagram username for the purpose
sure.
of promoting and soliciting the sales of products and services offered by the tattoo shop. As the date of this complaint, the Instagram post featuring the portrait has almost 90,000 likes on it. All right. So,
Mm,
again, they're going to like distribution. A lot of people saw this. Okay. And
sure.
to their point, they're trying to profit off of it by tagging the
Well,
tattoo
it's
shop, which will lead to more work.
sure, but it's kinda tough, and I mean, I guess it's because what? She's just so huge that it got his attention, because I'm sure that that tattoo in some fashion is tattooed on a lot of people. It's a famous portrait. People get tattoos of celebrities and people and pictures and is used as reference all the time. Now, what it kinda makes me think of, and you can tell me if it's a similar kind of situation, but, like, think of, like, high schools, right? So when they have, like a play, like a school play, and they wanna they have to go and they have to license. They can't just do any play that they want. They have to get the rights to be able to do the play at a school. And I mean, I see where when you're trying to do an exact copy where you would have to, where eventually it could be made to where you'd have to get some permission, but right now, I mean, it's still original artwork as it's an interpretation of the tattoo artist as well.
Yeah. And that's what Kat Von D defendants are claiming. They go under fair use because there are exceptions. We talk about that, right? There's a reason why I can react to King Von's music videos on the channel or Taylor Swift on the channel and actually use their videos and their music is because under the fair use doctrine, there are exclusions, which includes for criticism, for education, for
Mhm.
reaction, for newsworthy purposes. And so, you can do things, but in this case, what they're alleging is that it's under fair use because we are transforming it, right? So she
Right.
goes, it's not an exact copy. I transformed it into something new. And I think Warhol is sometimes the example used, and they go the Warhol adaptations of these people, these real people, and it wasn't copyright infringement because he was doing his own
Just
kind of
his own
version of
thing,
it.
yeah,
But
with
there's
his
always the
photo.
other piece of this, which is likeness. So if your face appeared on someone's body and then it ended up being on a shirt, like, do
It's
you have
just
a say in that?
y
The answer
well,
is
I
probably
mean
yes.
yeah, yeah. So, I mean, but I totally get it. I just think they need to kind of figure this out. It's kind of like how, when artists were started to get paid for when other artists would sample their music, like, that took a while for that to finally happen where artists were getting paid when they were getting samples, and some people just got kinda left out. Um, but I'm just I don't know, 'cause I get it. I get it from the artistic, perspective, but I mean, I don't know how you're really gonna enforce that and what you really kind of expect to happen because it's an inspiration. Like, I want a Miles Davis tattoo on me that's, I like that Miles Davis whispered or did the shush thing. I like
Right.
that.
Right.
So, he could have just as easily went in there and go, "Give me James Brown, but give me into Miles Davis, shh." You know what I mean? And whatever. But I mean, you're seeing that a lot right now. And I mean, that's some of the conversation with AI, how it's just taking pieces of work from other artists, is using it as its base for learning, and then it's creating new art with it. It's all in the same thing
Yeah, and Wilson had a
for me.
question. So what if Kat had Miles Davis's family's permission for the image? Since it's a celebrity, doesn't the person, or in this case, the
Mhm.
estate, have the right of the likeness? And the answer is maybe. So, and it depends on what state you're in. Sometimes the publicity rights extinguish with the person when they pass, and sometimes they don't. Sometimes they're carried on. But remember, those are two different things I'm talking about, right? One is the copyright in the picture, right?
Right.
And then the other is the
Yeah,
person's
that's what I'm
the
talking about.
right for example, the right for the photographer to use and sell that picture. We're assuming he does. That hasn't been raised as an issue, but that's a really good point. So, even
Make
if the estate said, yeah, we don't care if they don't own the picture, It doesn't matter if they gave permission as to the copyright issue. Need contracts for your music business? Go to topmusicattorney.com to get downloadable templates such as NDAs, record label agreements, management agreements, featured artist agreements, and so much more. Go to topmusicattorney.com. All right, so then it goes on, and in the complaints, they make mention of a few other things. So, for example, there was a video posted just showing how she actually, did kind of the stencil, and that she was taking a stencil of and from the actual picture itself. And then she did another post, look at the messy progress of the portrait. So again, she
My man was
distributed.
angry. My man was angry when he was seeing all this, when he was getting all these receipts all together.
That's right. And then here we have another post. So final Miles Davis portrait. Here, I'll make this bigger for you guys. I mean, obviously a beautiful work. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, she's great at doing portraits.
All right. So then let's just fly on through because, so they continue to document, how this all has impacted, the valuation and harmed the plaintiff and all the things. And there was a lot of analysis in regards to these posts, of course, because then all these other places, and they're like, High Voltage Tat reposted this, and then here was another one that they reposted. So her infringement led to additional infringements, which is basically the point of that.
So
now,
do you think when she was doing her little tag party, she should have tagged the photographer? Because he's on IG.
would that make any difference legally? The
No,
answer is no. That's
no, no,
that's
no, no,
called
no, no,
poking
no,
the
no, no, no.
bear.
No. I don't mean anything like legally or something. I just mean from the aspect of like, a courtesy, because she's putting it all out there, what she's doing and
Right.
whatever. Now, she didn't think anything of it, as I'm
Right.
sure most tattoo artists, they don't even think about it. They're like what? So I just wonder if what his gripe was, because like I said, I'm sure that tattoo has been tattooed a bunch of times. I'm sure he's, seen other painters that have seen that picture and have painted it. Or
What I tell to my clients, because we represent, some of the biggest stars all around, and I just go, understand that just because other people, let's say, do mixtapes and sample and all this stuff and they never get got, right?
Mm.
That doesn't mean it's not going to happen to you, right? So Kat Von D, you are really big. You have a huge audience. And so the likelihood that someone's going to see what you're doing is a lot higher. And half of the time, these artists just don't even know that there is this likelihood. She knows now. She's been in this litigation for 2 years.
There could be a whole series of events where like this dude is like walking down Venice Beach and he sees those, painters on the side of the beach painting the Miles Davis portrait. And maybe he's just snatching them up and taking them. Maybe he's like that kind of guy. I don't know, but it is interesting where in some realms it's like you need to make sure that there's things in place, like I said, with like the plays and like schools and stuff when they're trying to do that kind of thing, or if somebody the pictures and if they want to reproduce them, but at the same point, like that's okay. So, but it is transformative. So
yeah, and again, in the schooling context, you're using it for potentially educational purposes. So there's, fair use considerations there. All right, so back to then the claims. And so we go, the first claim is to just copyright infringement. So we go, Sedlick registered his copyright, and so he is able to bring this claim under 17 USC section 411A. Defendants in each of them unlawfully, so Kat Von D and the studio, unlawfully reproduced, displayed, distributed, and or made derivative works, which means they made additional works based on it. So that would have been like the Instagram posts, the pictures of the iconic Miles portrait without Sedlick's authorization, which was in violation of USC section 501 and on. So but it's basic infringement here, and then they just kind of outline the elements. But this is the part we kind of care about the most, which is, are they seeking statutory damages? And the answer is yes. So seeking statutory damages for up to $150,000
they want that 150
per infringement.
Is that not only the tattoo, that's the IG post, that's the IG video, that's the other, any other, the story post she may have shared it. Is it all those, or is it just, the tattoo and then anything documenting she did of it covers all of it?
Yeah, and that's why we include the words derivative work. So anytime that there was an additional instance of infringement, which would have been, as they allege, likely the Instagram post, the answer is yes.
I hear it. Oh, yikes.
So that's where it gets a little expensive. And that's why, guys, you know,
Ouch.
I'm always
You gotta
telling you,
get it
I'm
figured
like,
out.
you got to get your copyright registrations for your music and you got to do it ASAP, because if you don't have your registration, when someone infringes your copyright, you might not be able to get statutory damages or attorney's fees. And then, you know, in which case it's like, all right, well, how much was earned from her Instagram post? Realistically, actual money, probably not very much. But now we can say, oh, no, no, no. It was $150,000 for that Instagram post.
Ouch.
Ouch, ouch. All right, so
Oh.
then the second claim of relief, this is the vicarious liability. So we were talking about the actual tattoo shop. So defendants have the right to supervise, control the acts of their staff, essentially. So Kat Von D. They direct financial interest in the infringing acts of others because of, you know, ultimately all these things were for the benefit of the business, because it was all tagging the business on Instagram. Come on over, hire us. So the plaintiff Sedlick alleges that the foregoing acts of vicarious copyright infringement were willful and intentional and in disregard of Sedlick's rights. All right, so let's go down. Is he seeking statutory damages? He sure is. So again, $150,000 per work and or preclusion from asserting equitable and other defenses. Third claim for relief, copyright infringement. So this one, through the alleged conduct, defendants knowingly and systematically induced, caused, and materially contributed to, actively encouraged, and participated in the infringing reproductions, creation of derivative works, public display, and distribution of the iconic Miles David. Do you see how they like? So they do the
Yeah.
iconic Miles every time. That was their definition.
Well, I mean,
Just in case
that's
the court missed it.
yeah. No, I mean, I think that that's how his legal name is now, is like iconic Miles Davis. I mean, he is iconic. It's Miles
Yeah,
Davis, bro.
all
I don't know
right.
what to tell you.
So defendants benefited from the contributory infringement of the portrait. There were sales, there was brand promotion, there was goodwill, all these things. Again, we want statutory damages of up to $150,000 per infringement. Cool, we got it. All right, so this is the new one. So this is still under the Copyright Act, but guys, this is under 17 USC section 1202, which is under the Digital Millennium Copyright Act. So this is a little bit different. So we have the Copyright Act, which is super old, and then we have the digital, the DMCA, which is a lot newer. And the DMCA came into play because it was like, you know what? We're trying to monitor infringements that happen online, and the Copyright Act is so old. It's not dealing with like online anything. And so the DMA has all these different new sections, including this one, which talks about the removal of copyright management information. It goes, hey, if you steal my video and my video has like copyright top music attorney at the beginning of it, so not only do you steal it and copy it, so it's copyright infringement, but if you remove my copyright management information, that's a separate claim that I have. And guess what? There are statutory damages for that too. So let's see what they're claiming. The iconic Miles David portrait was routinely published and with attribution, credit, and other copyright information, identifying Sedlick as the author. So they go, when we published the picture, it had the copyright management information on it. Sedlick alleges that on information and belief, that defendants and each of them knowingly removed, altered, and falsified copyright management information with the intent to induce, enable, facilitate, or conceal infringement before reproducing, displaying, distributing, and making the derivative works. Now let's talk about that for a sec, guys, because again, the rule under the law is that if you remove the copyright management information, it can't just be accidental. The actual plaintiff has to prove that it was intentional and for the reason of concealing the fact that you had stolen, right, and copyrighted, or copyright infringement. So that's where it gets a little tough, because we're like, all right, so then we're saying Kat Von D like cut it off and didn't include it on the guy's body.
She tore off the tag on the mattress. You're not supposed to do that. You know what I mean?
All right, so Sedlick, the plaintiff, alleges that defendants, Kat Von D and the tattoo shop, reproduced, displayed, and distributed, made derivative works of, and published the iconic Miles David portrait via websites bearing the URLs depicted herein under their own name, and removed Sedlick's copyright management information, including without limitation his name, copyright notice, contact information, and other metadata. When the defendants reproduced, displayed, distributed all the things they knowingly provided, because remember, knowing was the big piece here. They knowingly provided and or distributed false copyright management information with the intent to induce, enable, facilitate, or conceal. So, I mean, they're saying what she's like, hey, here's a picture that I'm using to make a tattoo. I own this picture, or someone else owns this picture. I mean, that's what they're saying. As a result, so they are seeking statutory damages, which is the minimum of $2,500 and a maximum of $25,000 per instance. There was a case when we were looking into this where the derivative work that one of the parties had made, they took off the copyright information from the picture and they sent out an email to like 11,000 people, and the court ended up counting all of those
Oh
individual
my
emails
god.
as separate infringements.
Oh,
So
no.
the plaintiff ended up getting a judgment for like $30 million. It was, yeah. So that per infringement language is
Is
yikes.
rough.
So then the prayer for relief. Hey, court, this is the stuff that we want. The defendants in each of them, as well as their employees, agents, or anyone acting in concert with them, be enjoined. We want to stop his copyright from being replicated. Okay. And we want them to remove any content incorporating the picture. So that, I guess this would be, on the website, on the
Right.
Instagram, on all the things. He wants actual damages incurred. He wants an award of all the profits, all the monies that Kat Von D and her shop have made, plus all the losses that he has suffered, right? Because remember, we were talking about, because she published this online, it's like devalued the picture.
Right.
So he's saying, I've now lost, something. If you're a hustler like me, working on your career every day, go to topmusicattorney.com to apply to work directly with me. Let's get your music business to 6 figures and beyond. So anyway, so basically, they're also, asking, the plaintiff's asking for statutory damages. Okay, so this is the bigger one, and you get one or the other, guys. It's not both. You only get either the actual damages or you get statutory damages. And then constructive trust, we want all the monies that they've received. We want our attorney's fees, which at this point, PS, right? Because we were looking at the case docket. We're 2 years into this. Can you imagine what her attorney's fees look like?
Crazy.
Yeah. So, the attorney's fees alone will make you cry if she, obviously is successful in defending against this, or if they do get it. All right, so this was filed in February of 2021, and as we noted at the beginning of this, they are in trial right now, and they were actually on day 2. Today was day 2, right?
Of the jury aspect, yeah.
Okay. So I think during his testimony portion, he highlighted his creative process and making the portrait, the intention, right? So with the picture, showing the musicians quiet, and what was it having to do with like the negative space around, the picture, and
Right.
just showing, the demure of the music and stuff like that. So anyway, this is a more nuanced exploration of copyright rights, and
I think it's gonna be interesting to see what ends up happening for it, because, I mean, if she ends up, having to pay out for this, I mean, this is gonna change how the industry is kind of run, I would imagine. I would imagine that every tattoo artist in the country is kinda keeping an eye on this case very closely, because I can't imagine not everyone is playing it kind of fast and loose. Um, and especially just having to, educate themselves just so they're not in this predicament of being brought to court and just having to go through the hassle of it. Maybe just thinking twice of when somebody's bringing in a photo of what they can do and what they can't do, um, or just really making sure that their, you know, iconic portraits or whatever are drastically different, or there's something very just instead of him going like this, maybe he's doing like a peace sign, or maybe he's, what I mean, it's something just totally different.
yeah, and that's
But
the only place here that I'm struggling just a little bit with, because I get their argument on fair use. It was transformative in that
sure,
she did her own version of it. It's just she did such
agreed.
a good job. It
She's too
looks
good.
like she's too good. It was
She's
like a
too
copy and
good.
paste from what I could see, but I don't have a trained eye for this kind of thing. I'm just like, it looks like she replicated it.
But isn't that the concern from his point of view, from Jeff's point of view, is that to your average person, or to your whatever, it's that you shouldn't have to be a trained eye to your whatever. They're like, oh yeah, dude, she did that portrait. I mean, every picture of her doing it has his picture right next to her drawing it or doing whatever she's gonna do to it. So there's absolutely no doubt. I just wonder if it would have been different if she may have even, tagged him or even maybe flattered him, doing the iconic, doing a redo of the iconic Jeff Sedlick, Miles Davis portrait on this guy's arm, maybe flattered him a little. I don't know. I don't know where the rub is really coming from, because it should be is like, wow, that's really cool. Like he could be looking at this, wow, that's really cool. I think she definitely is gained more notoriety in the tattoo world from this thing, and she did an incredible job. And I think that news travels very far. People pay a lot of money and travel all over the world, for sure, for all over the country to go and visit her tattoo shop to get a portrait done from her.
Yeah.
So that obviously is reinforcing her brand. I don't know how much she made. I don't think she made any money off the actual tattoo itself. I think she did it as a favor. So
Yeah, that's what the client said. He didn't pay anything for it. I think it was
they
someone
need
that
to
she
get it
met
figured
on a
out.
film set.
Yeah.
And so, something like that. So we're gonna continue to follow this. Obviously, follow on the Instagram because we'll get updates there a little bit faster than here. But we'll keep you guys posted until next time.